Okay, so continuing with 1.3 notes. So now we're going to look at two application problems. So our first one, example 2, Arabica coffee costs $28 per pound and Robusta coffee costs $8.75 per pound. How many pounds of Arabica coffee should you mix with 5 pounds of Robusta coffee to make a coffee blend that costs $12 per pound? So we're going to break this apart. First off, we know our X is going to represent whatever we're asking to find, and that's how many pounds of coffee. So X equals the number of pounds of coffee, or let's hear, of Arabica coffee. Okay. We know that Arabica coffee costs $28 per pound. So for every pound, we're going to pay $28, so that's going to be 28x. Robusta coffee costs $8.75 per pound. We're adding those two things together. So we're going to have $8.75 times, well, we know we want to mix it with 5 pounds. So times 5 equals some blend that we know we want to cost $12. Okay, so here's the tricky part. We're looking at Arabica coffee. We don't know how many pounds it's going to be, plus the 5 pounds of the Robusta coffee. So over here on the right, we have to include both of those. So X plus 5, because that represents the total amount of pounds of coffee when we combine the two together. So now we can just simplify and solve as we normally would. So we have 28x plus, I'm not going to try to do this in my head. So we multiply 8.75 times 5, we get 43.75, which equals, and now we're going to distribute. So 12 times x is 12x, and 12 times 5 is 60. Now, if we want to solve for x, I'm going to start off by subtracting 12x and moving it to the left. 28x minus 12x gives us 16x plus 43.75, which equals 60. Now let's subtract 43.75 to the right. So 60 minus our 43.75, we have 16x equals 16.25. And then to get x by itself, we're going to divide. So x equals, if we divide by 16, gives us a decimal, and I'm going to round that. So we have 1.02 pounds. Okay. All right, and our last example. Bobcat Taxi charges an initial fee of $2.75 plus $2 per mile. Base or Linwood Taxi charges an initial fee of $4.50 plus $1.75 per mile. How many miles do you need to travel for Base or Linwood Taxi to be the better deal? So first thing we need to figure out is when will they be equal? So we're going to say Bobcat Taxi equals our Base or Linwood Taxi. Okay. And we want to figure out how many miles, so that means that x represents our number of miles. Okay, so the other thing we need to know is Bobcat Taxi. So we have our initial fee of $2.75. So we're starting off with just paying $2.75 for getting in the taxi, plus $2 for every mile, which will represent 2x. And that equals, so based on Linwood taxi, we have an initial fee of $4.50 plus $1.75 for every mile. All right, so if we want to get x by itself, let's subtract this $1.75x and move it to the left. So we have 275 plus 0.25x equals 450. Now we're going to subtract 275 from both sides. So 0.25x equals 1.75. Divide both sides by the 0.25. So x equals 7. So anything greater than 7 would result in base or Linwood taxi being the better deal. So any distance greater than 7 miles would make base or Linwood taxi the better deal. Okay, if you have any questions, make sure you put them in the Algebra 1 Q&A document or email your teacher.